The Imperial Camel Corps Brigade was a camel-mounted infantry brigade that the British Empire raised in December 1916 during the First World War, for service in the Middle East. From a small beginning, the unit eventually grew to a brigade of 4 battalions, 1 battalion each from Great Britain and New Zealand and 2 battalions from Australia. Support troops included a mountain artillery battery, a machine gun squadron, Royal Engineers, a field ambulance, and an administrative train. The ICC became part of the Egyptian Expeditionary Force and fought in several battles and engagements in the Senussi Campaign, the Sinai and Palestine Campaign, and in the Arab Revolt. The brigade suffered 246 men killed. The ICC was disbanded in May 1919 after the end of the war. Formation. Background. The advantages of camels in a desert environment are well known, and the British Army had raised the Somaliland Camel Corps in 1912. However, the British Army forces serving in Egypt at the start of the First World War did not possess their own camel formation. The first units of what became the Imperial Camel Corps were 4 company-sized formations that conducted long-range patrols around the Suez Canal and the Sinai Desert. The companies were raised in Egypt in January 1916 from Australians returning from the failed Gallipoli campaign. The Indian princely state of Bikaner supplied the first camels, as the Bikaner Camel Corps already used camels. These camels were later only used as draft animals, and the lighter Egyptian camel became the mount chosen for carrying troops. The camels could cover an average distance of 3 miles an hour or 6 miles an hour trotting, while carrying a soldier, his equipment and supplies. The camel companies consisted of a small headquarters and 4 sections, each of 7 groups of 4 men. The establishment of a company was 130 men, all armed with the standard British bolt-action rifle of the time, the Lee Enfield. However, the move from patrol to a more combat role in August 1916 led to a reorganization. Each company added a machine gun section of 15 men with 3 Lewis guns. The company headquarters also received extra staff. All this increased company strength to 184 men. The 4 companies were expected to operate as independent units that traveled by camel but then dismounted to fight as infantrymen. Following the practice of cavalry and mounted infantry units, 1 man of each group of 4 held the camels when the team was in action, which reduced a team's firepower by a quarter. However, it was soon discovered that camels were not as nervous as horses when faced with artillery and rifle fire, and 1 man would look after 12 to 16 camels once the troopers had dismounted. In March 1916, 6 new companies were raised from British yeomanry regiments. Then in June, another 4 Australian companies were raised from reinforcements intended for the Australian Light Horse regiments. Reinforcements from New Zealand intended for the New Zealand Mounted Rifles Brigade formed 2 companies, one created in August and the second in November. Brigade. The Imperial Camel Brigade was formed on the 19th of December 1916, under the command of Brigadier General Clement Leslie Smith VC. The brigade originally comprised 3 battalions, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, plus supporting units. Each of the battalions had an authorized strength of 770 men and 922 camels. A battalion comprised 4 companies and a headquarters. The 4th Battalion was raised in May 1917, but instead of increasing the brigade fighting strength, It was decided one battalion would always be resting and refitting, while 3 battalions served at the front. To complete the brigade structure and supply added firepower, the brigade received some other units: the 265th Machine Gun Squadron, with 8 Vickers machine guns, and the Hong Kong and Singapore Battery, armed with 6 BL 2.75-inch mountain guns. Despite the title, the battery was formed by men from the British Indian Army. The brigade also had its own Royal Engineers Field Troop of Signal Section, the Australian Field Ambulance, and a 97th Australian Dental Unit, which with only 4 men was the brigade's smallest unit. The brigade included the ICC Mobile Veterinary Section, and the brigade's logistic units were the ICC Brigade Ammunition Column and the ICC Brigade Train, which carried enough supplies for 5 days. The total brigade strength was around 4,150 men and 4,800 camels. Operational history. Battalions. In March 1916, after 2 months of training, the 1st Camel Patrols left their depot at Abbasi on the outskirts of Cairo to patrol the Libyan desert. In 1915, the Senussi had attacked British and Egyptian outposts along the Suez Canal and the Mediterranean coast. The resulting Senussi Campaign was largely over by then, but the patrols were to show the Senussi that the British were watching them, and to protect the border areas. Around the same time, long-range patrols, each of about 30 men, went into the south and southeast of the Sinai Desert to detect any Ottoman incursion into the area. When the patrols discovered Ottoman outposts, the brigade organized a company-strength raid against the outposts. The ICC undertook similar patrols in the north to protect the rail and water lines, which were vital for any British attack. Brigade. The Egyptian Expeditionary Force went over to the offensive in the Sinai Desert in August, winning the Battle of Romani. In support of these operations in December, the brigade moved into the Sinai. The first large battle came during the Battle of Magdaba on 23 December, 2 days after the brigade was formed. On the 9th of January 1917, the ICC was involved in another victory during the Battle of Rafah, which forced the Ottomans to withdraw the Sinai outposts towards Gaza. This also reduced the need for independent camel patrols across the Sinai. In May, the EEF consolidated the now surplus companies into a new unit, the 4th Battalion. The intensity of operations grew and the ICC were next involved in the capture of the Turkish force at Bir el-Hassana, the defeats during the First Battle of Gaza in March, and the Second Battle of Gaza in April, and a raid on the Sana Redoubt in August. They then had a break to refit. Subsequently, they participated in the victories in the Battle of Beersheba, the Third Battle of Gaza, and at Battle of Mogla Ridge during October and November. By the end of the year, the advance had crossed the Sinai and entered Palestine. 1918. Early in 1918, the ICC moved to the area of the Jordan Valley and took part in the attack in March and April. The First Battle of Amman was unsuccessful. After 3 days of battle, the British were unable to break through the Ottoman defences around the city, and had to withdraw. The 4th Battalion did succeed in capturing Hill 3039 overlooking the city and managed to hold out for 24 hours in the face of artillery and infantry attacks, until ordered to withdraw. During the Second Transjordan attack on Shanat Nimran and Es Salt, the Camel Brigade were assigned the western defense of the Jordan River for Datam Eshert, defending the left flank of the 4th Light Horse Brigade. The Camel Brigade was unable to support the light horsemen, which were attacked on the left flank and forced to withdraw. When the EEF advanced out of the Sinai and into Palestine, the change in terrain led to the disbandment of the ICC. In June 1918, the Australian troops were used to form the 14th and 15th Light Horse Regiments. The New Zealand troops formed the 2nd New Zealand Machine Gun Squadron. All three units became part of the 5th Light Horse Brigade. The 6 British companies remained part of the ICC for a while longer. 2 of them fought with T.E. Lawrence, Indiana, the Arab Revolt, and in July 1918 carried out operations sabotaging the Hejaz railway line. However, no reinforcements were assigned and the 6 remaining companies were reduced in strength to 2 before they were eventually disbanded in May 1919. Aftermath. Over 2 years of service cost the ICC 246 deaths, 106 British, 84 Australians, 41 New Zealanders, and 9 men from India. A memorial to the Imperial Camel Corps was unveiled on the 22nd of July 1921, on the Thames Embankment in London. On one side it is inscribed with the names of all the members of the Corps who died during the war, while on the front is the sentiment to the glorious and immortal memory of the officers, N.C.Os and men of the Imperial Camel Corps, British, Australian, New Zealand, Indian, who fell in action or died of wounds and disease in Egypt, Sinai and Palestine, 1916, 1917, 1918. The monument also lists all the battles and engagements fought by the Corps: 1916, Romani, Baharia, Mazar, Dakhla, Megara, El Arish, Magdaba, 1917, Rafah, Hassana, Gaza 1, Gaza 2, Sana, Redoubt, Beersheba, Khu Vilf, Hill 265, 1918, Amman, Jordan Valley, Mudawa. Order of battle. The strength of the brigade corps in the field was around 3,380 men and 3,880 camels, with 1 battalion resting. Brigade headquarters: 1st Battalion, 2nd Camel Battalion, 3rd Camel Battalion, 4th Camel Battalion, Hong Kong and Singapore Battery, 265th Machine Gun Squadron, 10th Field Troop, Royal Engineers, Signal Section, ICC Brigade, Australian Field Ambulance, 97th Australian Dental Unit, ICC Mobile Veterinary Section, ICC Brigade Ammunition Column, ICC Brigade Train. Works cited: Clayton, Anthony, Killingray, David. Khaki and Blue, Military and Police in British Colonial Africa. Africa Series. Monographs in International Studies, Volume 51. Ohio University Center for International Studies. ISBN 9780896801479. Falls, Cyril A. McMahon. Military Operations Egypt and AMP, Palestine from the outbreak of war with Germany to June 1917. Official History of the Great War based on official documents by direction of the Historical Section of the Committee of Imperial Defence 1. London, H.M. Stationery Office. OCLC 610,273,484.